This is something that you should give some serious thought about. What if COVID becomes a pre-existing condition? How is that going to impact your insurance? Now, let's be clear. We're still in the midst of this pandemic, and we don't know when it's going to end. There's clear indication that this thing is probably going to last for a significant period of time. But the reason why I throw this out there is that it kind of plays off like this. And unfortunately, nobody can give you any definitive answers, but just watch this scenario. So let's say assuming that you get COVID-19, you don't have any symptoms, but then, you're asymptomatic, but then 4 or 5 years from now, you have a condition that pops up, whether it be a blood clot or some type of respiratory condition. Hopefully, by that particular point, we will have some type of COVID screening that demonstrates whether you have any antibodies in your system that shows the existence of COVID-19 at some particular point. Now, all of a sudden, you get your treatment, your insurance pays for it, and then all of a sudden you get this bill that shows that because the existence of the antibodies in your system may have been a causative factor or contributing factor to the underlying condition you have now, it's now deemed as a pre-existing condition. So now the treatment that you received or whatever visit you received is now viewed in a different light. So instead of just paying that $25 or $30 copay, you get a bill for $500, $600, $700, or $800. Now, some of you are probably sitting here going, that's just jacked up, that's jacked up, man. It's jacked up, but the reality is it could really happen just like that. Now, the simple fact of the matter is there's still too many things we don't know about COVID-19. We're still in the early phases. We're still trying to figure out what kind of treatment works best for it, other than respirators when you really get down. We're still trying to figure out vaccines. We're still trying to figure out why some people are symptomatic and some people are asymptomatic. We're still trying to figure out how these things kind of play in with each other. But I need you to understand this, and this is extremely important. As we find out more, how treatment is responded to you and how insurance covers that is going to be a huge factor in the future. So as you start going out into the world, if you have got COVID-19 and you're recovering and so forth, start asking your insurance carriers the question: is this a pre-existing condition that's going to disqualify you from different treatments in the future? Now, they're probably not going to be able to tell you that straight up and down, but it's important that you ask those questions in advance, so this way you're not in a situation where you're like, oh crap, I didn't know. The other thing that you need to do is that if you don't have it, you need to be mindful of the fact that by going out and exposing yourself in different arenas and so forth, or increasing your exposure, whether it be going to a bar or a restaurant or things of that nature, these things have a tendency to come back around in ways that you may not have anticipated. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm not saying this to tell you to not live your life. I'm just saying that when it comes to the medical aspects of our society, as well as the insurance aspects of society, these things tend to not always flesh out in the most user-friendly way possible. So do everything you can to put yourself in the best position so that this way you're not in a situation 5 or 6 years from now where some exposure puts you in a devastating situation where now you're having to pay for things that you didn't realize you had to pay for because now you have what's considered a pre-existing condition.